I've done a couple takes of this review. I just can't seem to get it perfect because it's so rare for me that I enjoy a game these days. I've just gotten so cynical and just, I don't know if it's every game or if it's just me, but I'm happy to report that this remake was amazing. This is the first positive review that has come out of my mouth in like a year now for a video game. Remakes are the cheapest, the most cash grabby shit 9 out of 10 times. They're just the easiest way. Throw a little paint on something, cha-ching, cash in. But this is the exception to the rule right here. This Destroy All Humans remake. I have been a fan of this franchise, before it was cool. Before this was announced. Back when these games were coming out. 2005, 2006. I don't know. PS2. But I 100%ed every one of these games. And I never thought I'd hear from them again. I never would have expected a Destroy All Humans remake. That's probably the last thing. I'm so excited to see this, but I came into the game fully expecting it to just be awful. Because first off, the first Destroy All Humans, there's 4 of them, right? And the first one is probably the worst. Just, there's not a lot to work with. I mean, it was ancient, right? But part of the problem that made it the worst of the games was just the limited technology. And the premise of an alien with, super high-tech guns, a jetpack and everything, telekinetic powers, it didn't really work well with the PS2's capabilities. The technology just wasn't there to make that type of gameplay compelling. So you could tell what they were going for in the originals, but they couldn't do it. They didn't have the technology. And so that's what makes Destroy All Humans the perfect series. At least the first 2 games. The perfect games to remaster. Well, no, not remaster, remake. There's a difference. Remaster just is a fancy new coat of paint, some graphics, send it off. But this is a full-on remake. They redo the combat system, some of the core mechanics that are really dated from the ground up, and they do it in a way that makes sense, that feels natural. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm going to run through some of the core mechanics here that the remake fixes, because that's exactly what I wanted. Like, when I was thinking in my head, anytime I start a game, I think, how's the best way I would do this? What are some things I would do? And almost everything I would do for this game to remake it, they did. So I'm really impressed. I don't think I could have done a better job myself. One of the core mechanics that really held back the first game was you got 4 guns, only 2 of them have infinite ammo, and the other 2, the coolest 2, you have to go find ammo for. But the ammo is just randomly scattered across the map, finitely, and there's no way of getting more of it, so you just gotta fucking fly halfway to Florida to go get your disintegrator ammo, and it's just awful. So in the second game, they realized that ain't gonna fly, and just giving everything infinite ammo obviously makes it less impactful. So what they did is they put in a transmog system where you can just grab any object, and with a little bit of effort, you can turn that object into ammunition. What they did is they took that and they put it in this game, so now you don't have to track down ammo all across the map like a fucking retard. So that was like the first thing that came to mind to me when I was thinking, what would I do in a remake? I'd get rid of that mechanic, and they did. They fixed it. That's exactly what I would have done. Put in transmog, and that's what they did. They even got some dialogue for it. I don't know if they got the voice actor to come back or what, but... And, of course, the next thing you would do would be to take advantage of better physics engines, all-around better technology, to revamp the combat system and make it feel how it was supposed to feel. And so that's exactly what they've done. They've totally revamped how targeting feels, shooting, flying in your jetpack. You can hover now while you're shooting, left to right, up to down. You can hover in your jetpack, strafe around and shoot. Like was obviously intended. That's obviously what they were going for in the original. But the technology wasn't there, so it was just clunky and static and horrible. So they've really... This remake feels to me like what the game was intended to be. Because what they've done is... it's hard to explain. It's just... In the first game, you almost feel like an alien invader with a jetpack and shields and everything. But you just don't, because your jetpack, it goes straight, and it can kind of turn left, and that's not what you would use a jetpack like this for, because even in the cutscenes, he is flying around and strafing and shit, and doing all this stuff that you couldn't do in the original. So now they have completely revamped combat, and made it to where those things are possible. Now, you are flying around, you feel like Crypto, you're shooting, you're hovering, you're dodging, and to complement that, they've actually put in a few new mechanics. Now, some people would say that is unfaithful to the original, and you can certainly make a case for that. But they've only put in a few, and really, they feel like they fit. They feel like they always should have been there, and probably would have been if the technology was there at the time. You can now strafe. You can dodge side to side using, some built-in thrusters on your suit that obviously, Furons have that technology. It's clear with, what the lore behind it. So now you can glide with some boosters. You can do dashes with your, hydraulics and stuff. And it feels right. Like a lot of people you'd think just by my description that it would feel really cluttered and rushed and just too much happening at once, but it really doesn't. It really feels just how it should feel. And this is coming from a guy who played this remake on a computer that is nowhere near the specs that you need to play this. So it ran pretty bad for me, and still it felt really smooth. And they've completely redone the telekinesis too. They made it how it should be. Because of limitations in the first game, if you wanted to, you're supposed to be a powerful telekinetic. You're supposed to have these powers. But in the first game, the gameplay doesn't really reflect that, because you have to just hold everything, just stop, and you gotta just stand still and levitate stuff. It's clunky and awkward and useless. Just pretty much useless in combat. And compared to this remake, your telekinesis is one of your strongest abilities. I'd say a case could be made that it's better than using your guns now, or just as good. Telekinesis completely fixed. You can now use it while you're moving. You can grab. You can, whether you want to throw forcefully or just hold is really easy. I was using a controller, so just hold it down a little bit longer if you want to throw stuff. It feels really natural, really smooth. Minor complaint though, just the range isn't quite far enough. You gotta get a little too close. But, that's a minor thing, and you get used to it. But now, now you're really using that telekinesis. Now you're throwing people around how you should have been in the original, but just the tech wasn't there for it. So you can tell that this is obviously what it was meant to be. This is exactly what a remake should do. Take an idea that was fundamentally just not possible at the time, but that had the groundwork laid, and build on it with what we can do now. And that's exactly what they've done, and I could not be more impressed with this remake. I think that's about all of my thoughts, really. I could go in depth about every tiny little added mechanic, but I think that would just kind of spoil it for you. The plot and everything has been faithfully recreated. Original dialogue. They've even restored a mission, an extra mission that was cut last minute, and that's got dialogue, funny dialogue. I'm really happy to hear some new Crypto and Pox banter in 10 years? So, really happy for that. They restored it, the new mission works well, and overall, I have no complaints. This is really the best I could have hoped for, and I hope that this gets some good critical reception, and I'm excited to see what THQ Nordic does in the future. I have become an immediate fan, and I'm definitely going to be checking out their other work from here on out. Reasonably priced, too. This is $30. It's not a $60 remake. Because, that might feel a little greedy, because it is just a remake. Not like they're entirely building a new game. But, yeah, this is how it should have been all along. This is now the definitive version. There is no more reason to go back and play the old one, because this has faithfully recreated every aspect of the old game. Could not be more happy. Here's to hoping they remake the second game, huh? Because, while this remake is amazing in terms of what it has done as a remake, they were still working off of the first game, so it's the first game was pretty weak. They didn't have a lot to work with. But I can imagine they could turn the second game into something amazing. And I'm happy to give them a little more creative liberty, too. Because, a remake is a remake. You can add in new mechanics. You can touch it up a little more than you can with a remaster. So, feel free to really give it your all. Because, I was kind of concerned that if they were going to be adding in all these new mechanics, they just would feel out of place and they'd go too far. But they didn't. Everything they've done fits in with the game perfectly. Feels as if it always should have been there. So, that's really all I've got to say about it, really. Performance is obviously a big thing with remakes and stuff. You want them to perform well, because that's kind of the point. I can't speak to that because it didn't on my computer, but that's my fault. This computer's not meant for this game. It's not nearly good enough, but from what I've gathered, everybody with a decent computer is having no troubles. Even as I'm doing this review right now, I see in my Steam there's an update coming. Presumably some glitches were discovered or something, and they're fixing those right now, I see. So they obviously care about making sure that this is good. And this is a work of passion, really. This is a work of art. You can tell that the creators were really fans of the original, and they did their best to create a faithful remake, and they've definitely succeeded. So that's really all I've got to say. I could get into specifics about, exactly how the combat feels, exactly everything they've done, but just imagine what you would do, and they've probably done it, because I can't think of much I would do different. This is about what you could do to remake this game faithfully and have it be the best it can be. If they did much more, it'd be a different game. It'd be a new game at that point. But they did just the right amount. So, wrapping this up, I'm going to give this remake a 9 out of 10. Amazing stuff, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. just had to get this review out to you guys, because it's not often I enjoy a game, so I'm going to let you know when I do.